What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so before I get into this video, shout out to the brother Rashad Williams for the donation to the channel via the Cash App. And he had a video request, and his question was, what if Michael Jordan, instead of coming back to play with the Washington Wizards in 2001, he came back and played with the Charlotte Hornets? Now, I could see that. Uh, Michael Jordan, of course, has ties to North Carolina. He's from Wilmington, North Carolina. Ultimately, he became initially a minority owner with the Hornets. I think the time that were the New Orleans Hornets, till they became the Charlotte Bobcats. And then for many years, he was the principal owner of the Hornets franchise. They didn't have great success, obviously. Now he relinquished control of the team some years ago. He still has a stake in the team, but he definitely has ties to the Hornets organization. So what if he joined them in 2001? Well, the first thing I've been trying to figure out this for a little bit. I don't know exactly what position he would play. I can't see him coming off the bench. But I don't know exactly what position he would play. If you remember that Charlotte Hornets team, the starting lineup was at least 2001, 2002. It was, if I remember correctly, it was Eldon Campbell at center, PJ Brown at power forward, I believe. Small forward was Jamal Mashburn. Shooting guard was David Wesley, and the point guard was a young Baron Davis. And they had a 44-38 record that year. They were fourth in the Eastern Conference. Remember, the East was pretty weak during this time period, man. They were pretty weak, and keep this in mind. People talk about how the Wizard years with Jordan were a failure, but they forget to tell you that the year before Michael Jordan joined the Wizards, they only won 19 games. And then the year that he joined them, they won 37. So they improved almost double digit in wins with Michael Jordan joining the team. So that's stuff that they don't tell you about. They just leave things out. So I can't help but think that if the number one seed, I believe, was the New Jersey Nets with 50 wins. So I don't see how it's out the realm of possibility that if Michael Jordan joins this team, that they'll have the best record in the East. Because unlike with the Wizards, when the only other scorer his first year was Rip, and the second year was Stackhouse, you got Baron Davis, a young, dynamic, all-star level player in Baron Davis in his prime. Well, coming into his prime, you have Jamal Mashburn, who still is capable of giving you 22, 23 points a night. He's 28 years old, right? Then you got Jamal McClure, who eventually became an all-star center. Not perennial, but one year he was an all-star. I think like a couple years later, by the time they were in New Orleans. You got PJ Brown, who was a really good defensive player. There are some other pieces too on this team. I think Stacey Allman came off the bench. So, you know what I'm saying? They had some pieces. I'm going to make the assumption that, because I did a little research. Jamal Mashburn got injured halfway through the season, and he was replaced in the starting lineup by Lee Nailon, right? Who was not what you would call, a consistently good player, right? I think Jordan was split time between shooting guard, small forward, and power forward, depending upon how the lineups were. He might start the game I'm thinking David Wesley comes off the bench. Jordan starts as shooting guard, and obviously he's going to have some issues with trying to keep up with some of the faster guards. So they may put him on bigger players. I'm trying to figure out how that would work. But most definitely, if I'm trying to think here. Um, now that I think about it, I'm thinking about it a little bit more. They may try something where they put Mashburn at power forward and Jordan at shooting guard, and have PJ Brown coming off the bench. Although that would be unorthodox, it it might create some serious matchup problems on the offensive side, because one of the weaknesses of the Charlotte Hornets team was they were a really good defensive team, but they were toward the bottom offensively, which is interesting considering that they had Jamal Mashburn and Baron Davis. But then again, a lot of the other players were not offensive players. So Michael Jordan would definitely hurt them. Definitely help them on the offensive end. So yeah, I think maybe they could experiment with something. I think the head coach was Paul Silas. So he's an old school coach. He may be resistant to doing something like that now that I think about it. But hey, if he could try it, putting, you know, Jamal Mashburn at power forward and Michael Jordan at small forward. It's going to hurt them on the boards, but it's definitely going to help them in other situations. Transition, they're going to have some speed advantages. They're going to be matchups as far as them having guys who will come out the paint and try to guard them on the perimeter. That's going to cause some serious matchup problems. I could potentially see that team. Um, Now, let's say Jamal Mashburn still gets hurt, then Jordan moves to small forward, PJ Brown moves to power forward, and they have more of a traditional lineup, and which may fit more into that era. But in reality, that Charlotte Hornets team started off really flat, and then they came on later on. So I don't see. I could see that team winning 53 games, 54 games with Michael Jordan. And I can see them going to the NBA Finals, but they're not going to beat the Los Angeles Lakers. They're just not. And just because he's Michael Jordan, I'll give the Hornets one victory in the finals. Just one. We refuse to get swept at home victory. And then Jordan has a stain on his record with a finals loss. But then at the same time, considering that he comes back at age 38 and takes a franchise that had done nothing and sends them to the NBA Finals, it's a net gain to his legacy. Yeah, he's 6-1, but look what the fuck he did, taking this team to the finals. And I can see them doing that because in reality, like I said, they won 44 games and was fourth in the Eastern Conference. And you add Michael Jordan to the mix with that type of firepower around him, even at that advanced age, I could see them going to the finals. I could see them doing that. And we know Michael is going to be a leader, obviously. Uh, and, you know, even though there might be some culture clashes a little bit with some of these younger dudes, I could see them still. I could see them still going to the finals. I think they could beat that Nets team. I mean, they just got more firepower, man. And while Jason Kidd is one hell of a point guard, um, I could see them. I definitely could see them beating that particular team. Trying to think of other teams. This would be just before that later Pacers team forms with Jermaine O'Neal and older Miller and Braun Artest. Yeah, I think they'll get to the finals, man. That year, and I think they would ultimately lose to the Kobe Shaq Lakers. Um, I think all four losses would be pretty bad, man. Maybe one competitive loss. I think two to three blowout losses. And they're gonna have one victory at home where they just refuse to. They refuse to lose because Jordan ain't gonna get swept. You know what I'm saying? He refused to do that shit. But anyway, that's all I got to say about it. What you guys think?